Okay, here we go, right on the button. And now we're going to do another Target Tuesday. And we're going to talk about target marketing, direct marketing, the epistemology of marketing. I call it epistemarketing. How do we know anything in marketing? I'm surprised no one asked this question. I guess I'm surprised but not surprised. That's the way it is. So let's go see if we're streaming. Yes, I guess. I'm surprised. Got sound. Okay, and I'm over to Periscope, and I have it all set. I'm getting better. An update on on Trump as the top stand-up comic in the world. As of Monday, there were 175,000 requests for tickets for tonight's New Jersey rally. New Jersey's a place where, everybody says Trump shouldn't go. We'll call him the Star Trek candidate. Anyway, boldly go where no one should go ever again. So we'll see how it works out. As I said, you got to think about politics as comedy, or at least theater. But it helps if you think about it as comedy. So we got the whole thing transcribed last week, and it worked out pretty well. And so that's going to be posted to Target Marketing shortly, hopefully today. And we're going to create a new one today. So let's dig in. Let's look into how the heck marketing knows anything. And so here it is, Target Tuesday, epistemarketing. Let's see what we got. How do we know anything in marketing? Last week we covered the war between science and art. But it doesn't just extend to marketing. It goes through all of our culture. Postmodernism has suggested that the world is just materialistic. It's just atoms bouncing around. There's no free will. There's no morality. There's no ethics. There's no nothing. And that sounds probably familiar if you've been working in marketing for a while. But today we're going to talk about data. Data, the future of marketing. And this is from a talk I gave at NAMOA in September of 2017, I think. Anyway, off we go. Everyone loves data. Every day, I could probably talk on 3 or 4 articles on data, and everybody loves it. But is data really going to be the answer? Big data yields real evidence, they say. Okay, this is from Harvard Business Review, October 2012. Big data enables managers to decide on the basis of evidence rather than intuition. Now, that's an interesting way to phrase it. You see, because the concept of evidence is way beyond the concept of data. I hate to say it, but I listened to some of the Father Brown mysteries, and one of my favorites is, I think it's called The Disappearance of Mr. Glass. And it introduces Sherlock Holmes vis-a-vis Father Brown. And the Sherlock Holmes character, who's never stated exactly that way because he's incognito, goes around picking up all this evidence, observing all the data and coming to exactly 180 degrees wrong conclusion. It's really fun. And it illustrates precisely the issue that I want to deal with. Yeah, Jerry, you love data. I can see that. Well, you may not love it as much after I get done with you today. So anyway, the big problem is people have no clue what they're talking about. Profoundly none. And they're coming out of postmodern education, which says it's all about the material world. We don't need presuppositions. We don't need underlying theories. Couldn't be farther from the truth. GM flew us over to their headquarters, huge building in Detroit, like a mausoleum, if you ask me. And we walked down these marble floored halls, and they brought me into a room with about, I don't know, 20 other people. And I had been taking a sales course, Sandler selling course, and they taught me to say, why am I here? So that's how I started, because I was just trying to fill time, because I had no idea what they wanted. This is General Motors. And so they went around the room and they told their stories about how inept they were with their own data analysis. They had 15 million customers. They had 250 variables on every customer, which in those days was quite a bit. And they said, basically, from the speeches they'd heard, that I was their best hope for understanding what was going on with all of this data. Okay, so then I said, well, what would you like to know? And they said, we'd like to know who would have bought a car if we wouldn't have given them the $5,000 rebate. And that was kind of the shtick, the offer. They said, if you use this credit card, you can get up to $5,000 instead of airline miles. You can get a rebate when you buy your next new car. $5,000. That's big money. And apparently, too many people were taking advantage of the offer. I said, okay, that's easy. What answer would you like? And they all turned like pale. And they said, wait a minute. We thought you were a data guy. In other words, that I was going to somehow pour through the data and answer who would have bought if. Clients ask me, well, what would have happened if we would have mailed all these names? Here's an idea. You have to kind of mail them to see what would happen. What does happen is more powerful than what might have happened. You can have any theory you want on what would have happened if. That's the state of our politics right now. Anyway, so they were flummoxed. Let's just say they were flummoxed. And I said, well, you probably didn't set this up right. You didn't have any holdout tests. You didn't compare. Now, in retrospect, I could have given them a better answer, and I should have had a better answer, but I didn't really know what they were going to cook up. Because we could have, gone back a couple of years and looked at the conversion rates of, who buys a repeat new car at what rate and what geodemographics, affect that, model that, and then compare that as a baseline to the redemption of the credit card bonus. So I was being a little flippant and it probably cost me a couple of $1 million. But I was having a good time. But the point is still valid that if you don't set it up right at the time with holdout tests or split tests or test markets, you don't have much to go on. You don't have evidence. You just have data. It's a good puzzle. Let's go on. Teradata at their site says the future of marketing, it's still the data, stupid. I don't like being called stupid. I went to the IBM site because their big thing is marketing data now. And they said that if you put in quotes future of marketing, you hit 315 hits of the future of marketing on the IBM site. You think IBM's all about computers? No, it's about selling systems to marketers. Okay, big data is getting bigger. Attention spans are getting shorter. Marketing tech vendors keep doubling every year. That's what I really like, that one there. And that's from Welcome New Marketing Reality. Okay, so let's say we get more and more and more data. What does that get us? Here's Marketing Tech News. Is big data really the future of marketing? This article says we cannot foretell what data we capture today is or isn't going to be of any use. See, this is back to the Mr. Glass story. You can get it. It's free. You can download the audiobook. That's what I was listening to. You don't know which data is relevant. And that's why in the scientific method, you isolate, you reduce and reduce and reduce all the variables that you can get rid of. And then you isolate the one you think matters most. That's where you test. And we're not going to get into that today, but I just want to say you don't know which data is going to be valuable. But this article says it would be foolish to ignore the potential. So basically, let's save everything. Let's save every stinking thing we can think of. That's big data. And AI will save you. Okay, so CIO magazine had a study, and they said two-thirds of the chief information officers say they get little or no benefit out of their big data projects. When it saves, when this saves, it changes the size of the screen, but we'll just go on. Almost 3/4 say it's not the right data, and yet they're willing to spend millions on ERP and big data. Just amazing to me. And now, to update this, because this is a few years ago, to update this, now it says AI, big data plus AI. Every data is sacred. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Okay, now we're going to talk about data, hard talk about data. I had a PhD statistician professor, university professor on here a couple of months ago. And we talked about this, and he said, well, one thing for sure, the more data you have, the lower the p-values. And if you don't play in shade on a regular basis like I do, to translate, that means the more data you have, the more correlation you have. Does that make the correlations true? Not on your life. So here's an example. Deaths caused by X-ray contrast media correlates with bicyclists killed in collisions with 2- or 3-wheeled motor vehicles. So motorcycles and tricycles. Okay, and you can see over 10 years, this goes way up and down. This correlates like crazy. 88%, it says. So let's jump over. I went to this site because I can do that now. Because, you know, the miracles of my technology here. So Spurious Correlations is now a book. Here, that one's not very interesting. Here, the number of people who drowned by falling into a pool correlates with films Nicolas Cage appeared in. Look at how beautiful this goes. Look at that. And it shows you the number of Cage films, 3. The number of swimming pool drownings, 98. It's just beautiful. Here, this is one of my favorites since I'm, president of the Wisconsin DMA. Per capita cheese consumption correlates with the number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets. Goes up and down perfectly. And, the bed sheet deaths per year are like 600. And the cheese consumed is 31.3 pounds per person. Okay. Also, here's another dairy-related correlation. The per capita consumption of margarine correlates with the divorce rate in Maine. So if you want to protect your marriage, get rid of that margarine, and I've seen that. I've seen, as the husband gets a little older, puts on a little weight, the wife starts buying that smart balance. Okay? Means she's looking for someone else, a little more svelte. Here's a good one. The age of Miss America correlates with murders by steam, hot vapors, and hot objects. And you say, this is total nonsense. Yeah? You know what? If you take pi out to 17 billion characters, which they've gone just beyond that, I think, you also generate 17 billion characters of random numbers, you will get huge strings that correlate exactly. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The more data you have, the more difficult it is to figure out what's going on, which then they'll sell you a big AI machine. Oh, that's good. Let's go that direction. Okay. My, oh my, oh my, oh my. So, Does anyone love testing? No, it's too hard. That's enough for today. We're going to talk about why testing is magnitudes more evidential than collecting up data and then dumping AI on it to try to figure it out. Data, the future of marketing. I made it a psychologist to deal with my data correlations. There's another field. Yeah, you probably do. Okay, so that's enough for Target Tuesday. Like and share. Your friends will think today you are really smart. We're going to make this into a playlist on YouTube and a series of articles and hopefully a book someday. So you saw it first. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day.